Hello, Kathryn McAdam here, and welcome to the Unstoppable Joy podcast. Today, we're going to talk about diet. This is the $1,000,000 question, right? Everybody wants to know, what is a healthy diet, and how do I ensure that I'm getting a good diet, whether I'm trying to lose weight or gain muscle or just not end up with the diseases that my parents had or my grandparents had. So it's a lot simpler than you would think. I think we make it way too complicated. And unfortunately, the food industry has not helped us one bit with this whole question. They are known to put, buzzwords on packaging like gluten-free and organic and that sort of thing, which those can cue you into something's healthier than other things, or just sort of the nutrients aren't as processed, or they're more free of pesticides and that sort of thing, but it doesn't tell the whole story. You really have to look at the nutritional contents of what is in the food and then the ingredients. Just because something says that it's all natural or gluten-free does not necessarily make it a health food. I've seen Oreos that are gluten-free. Doesn't make them a health food. But for anyone who has gluten issues and they still want to indulge and have a treat, that's awesome for them. But if you're trying to lose weight, probably not the best choice. Although, with the corporate wellness that we do at Sozo and with the challenge that we have going on, we really take it from an anti-diet approach. If you tell somebody you can't have this or you can't have that, guess what? That's the thing that they're going to be craving the most. And so we really just try to educate people on what a healthy diet is, and that's what I'm going to be doing here today. So a healthy diet is basically eating foods that are naturally found in nature, be it fruits and veggies, be it chicken, beef, pork, whatever it is that is found naturally in the world surrounding us that hasn't been genetically modified, created in a lab, or has hormones or preservatives or pesticides or herbicides placed on the food. Those are the things that you really should be consuming. There is a saying, eat the rainbow, and what that means is eat the rainbow of fruits and veggies. Really try to eat all different colored veggies and all different colored fruits, and you're really shooting for at least 30 different plant-based foods a week. Try to count and see how many that you've had. So for me, a healthy diet in the morning, I start out with my breakfast. I don't skip breakfast. There are some times to fast and to do intermittent fasting, but for me, I make sure that I have a protein, carb, and fat at every meal. Now, sometimes when I head towards the evening hours, I will just have my protein and my fat and skip the carb, because I know that I'm sensitive to carbs. I just know this about myself, and I know if I eat too many of them, then that definitely causes some inflammation for me, and it also causes some weight gain. So I try to avoid those. Now, I'm not saying to stop eating carbs completely. Some people go on keto diets and that sort of thing. There is two things that are essential in your diet. That is amino acids and fatty acids. You notice there's no essential carb in the diet. So your body can actually produce carbs or sugars from the breaking down of fats and proteins. And that's when people go on these keto diets and they get in ketosis and their body uses that for fuel. So again, what is a healthy diet? It's stuff that is created naturally in nature, that is not genetically modified or created in a lab. So the things that are created in a lab, we consider that frankenfood, which, going off Frankenstein, you get it, right? So if you go to the store and you are looking to purchase some things that are like a convenience food, I try to really stick to fresh fruits and veggies, saute them or cook them or broil them or whatever, and then lean meats, try to find grass-fed beef and that sort of thing. And then healthy fats are things like olive oil, olives, nuts, seeds, coconut oil, that sort of thing. So, like I said, I try to at every meal have a protein, a carb, and a fat. And what that does is it helps to balance your blood sugar. If you just eat a bunch of carbs, so say for breakfast you have yogurt, which a lot of people think, oh, yogurt's healthy, right? Not necessarily. You really have to look at the ingredients. Not all yogurts are created equal. I've seen some that have upwards of 17 to 23 grams of sugar in a serving, which is crazy. It's more sugar than there is protein in a serving. And many people think, oh, I'm having protein is in the form of yogurt, but it's not. It's actually a sugar because of the added sugars and the things that they put in there. If it has any fruit in it, a lot of times they add a ton of sugar to sweeten it even more. So people grab a yogurt, they then put fruit on it, or they put granola on it. And again, those are just sugars. Fruit is a natural source of sugar, is a carbohydrate. And so when you just start to think about what's in your food and try to approach it differently and see, okay, well, let's find a yogurt, a Greek yogurt, or even a plant-based yogurt. But again, you got to look at the sugar content because they hide sugar in everything. I was eating nuts the other day and there was sugar on the nuts. I was like, what? And it wasn't even like a sweet, it was a savory type of flavored nut. It wasn't even a sweet cocoa nut or whatever. You really have to look at the nutritional contents of what is in the food and then the ingredients. And in response to that, the insulin in your body then snatches up that sugar and shoves it into your cells. And anything that you don't use immediately for energy then is stored as fat. And so that's why it's so important to balance the amount of carbs and sugar, because carbs get processed into sugars in the body. That you have to just manage that so that you don't have that spike, so that you don't have that big bunch of fat being stored. And so from there, I wanted to tell you, so what do you do to remedy this? So I do a plant-based yogurt, which a lot of plant-based yogurts don't have a lot of protein in them because they're plant-based. So what I will do sometimes is then add a little bit of protein powder. Look for a good quality protein powder that has not have a lot of additives and sugars and that sort of thing. So I add some protein powder to my yogurt to make it, my plant-based yogurt, to make it have a higher protein content. Again, watching the sugar that's in that protein or in that yogurt and the protein powder. And then I will add a few blueberries or maybe a strawberry or two, and then I add walnuts. And so what I'm doing there is I am changing what I have to eat and focusing more on having protein and fat in each meal. And in that meal particularly, I'm having walnuts, which is a good source of fat. And then I'm having that protein powder, which gives me that source of protein. Of course, the yogurt actually probably is more considered, without the protein powder, is probably considered more of a carb. And then depending on how much protein per carbs it has. And then the fruit, the berries, I make sure that I'm not adding copious amounts of fruit to it. I'm majoring on the protein and the fat and minoring in the carb. The other thing you can do to help give yourself some natural fat there is some chia seeds. They're a great source of omega-3s, and they're really, they have a lot of good fat for you. So that's another tip that you can add to there. And then, lunchtime, it can be like a salad or a wrap using lettuce, or you can even find there's egg wraps. But just again, you got to make sure that you're looking at the content. Look at what's in those ingredients of those convenience foods. And really, that's what a lot of the packaged foods are these days. They're convenience. They're so you don't have to think. Just go ahead, get this bar that's supposed to be healthy. And later I take you to the store and show you not all bars are created equal, and so many things, like I said, they are packaged healthy and they have these buzzwords on them, but literally when you look at the ingredients, you might as well have a piece of cake or a candy bar because of the amount of sugar that's in these things. And it's really sad because people grab them thinking, I'm being healthy, I'm doing this for myself, it's all natural, and it's organic and this and that, but you just have to make sure that you're balancing the amount of carbs that you're having with protein. So like I said, when you have a carb, your blood sugar raises, your insulin raises, and then you store all that as fat, the extra fuel that you have consumed as fat. And when you have proteins and fats in your meals, what happens is it helps to balance that out. So think of the carbs as like kindling, or like paper that you would wad up and put on a fire, right? I don't know if you've ever made a fire, a bonfire or a fireplace. So you start with kindling and things that are going to catch right away. But you need like those big logs, and even sometimes a fire starter log, to get those going and get them burning long term. So just think about your body. You want to fuel your body. You want to get that burn, that long burn. You don't want that quick burn and then dying out, which is kind of like those carbs. And that kindling, that would be like a quick burn and then it's gone. And then, sometimes it's even harder to start after you have, like, you've used up all your paper. Now you don't have anything. So why do you start your fire? So, having a combination of, the quick burn things with the slow burn things will help to manage and balance that blood sugar level as you go. So just some quick tips of things that you can pack. I know people are really busy and they're trying to be health conscious, and they're trying to pack things that are quick and easy. Spending a few minutes on the weekend planning for the week ahead. One thing that you can do is just hard boil some eggs. These are really quick and easy sources of protein and fats. And you can combine that with some celery and carrots. You can make an egg salad wrap, wrap it up in a lettuce wrap, or just having there's also tuna packets. They have these packets now. They're not the old cans that I grew up with, but they're actually packets that are super portable, that just grab them. Some of them do have seasoning on them. So just, again, watch the sugar content. Make sure that you don't have so much sugar that it doesn't even count as a protein, or so many carbs it doesn't count as a protein. So, just be mindful of that. And then again, pack some rice crackers or something that will go with that, like veggies, sticks, and that sort of thing. One other thing that I like to do, of course, is hummus. Hummus is a great source of fat. It's not a big source of protein. So, you can also make your own dressings. One that I really like is taking some avocado and some lemon juice, fresh herbs, and some MCT oil, which is coconut oil, and blending that up, adding a little bit of water to thin it out, and it is a great dressing. It is a great dip. And so there's lots of things that you can do just to pack ahead of time. One thing I've found is really helpful is those salad kits. And if you're short on time and you don't have a lot of time to prep, we just cook up a lot of protein, like whether that's chicken breast or some fish, and then I pack it with those salad kits. And a lot of times I look for the ones that have more of a vinaigrette dressing, or I just have gotten just a bag of coleslaw. It's basically the same thing, just that shredded cabbage and carrots. You can just get a bag of that if you're not going to use the dressing and all the condiment type things that they have for the bag salad. It's just a really quick and easy thing to do. You can get make your own salad dressing, or get one that is low in sugar and more like a vinaigrette, or like I said, make your own with avocado, and then add your protein to that, and then you have a quick and easy lunch. And then, of course, for dinner, grilling out. I love to grill. I've been trying to be mindful of, they talk about carcinogen charring things can add carcinogens to them. So we obviously bake and we broil and all that stuff too. But, Yeah, so those are just some ideas. Some other quick and easy snack type things would be like a piece of fruit and some almond butter, or almonds or cashews. Nuts, like I said, it's a great source of fat. If you can do dairy, doing a cheese stick or two and a fruit, at least you're getting some sort of protein with your carb or a fat with your carb, so that you don't have that spike. It helps you to keep that even keel. So we're going to go to this grocery store next and just look at a few things there. And I thought it was kind of fun. We went to return bottles, which Joe absolutely hates. He hates it so much. We haven't returned bottles in like 3 years. So we had a whole lot to return. But hey, we got groceries for part of our groceries paid for with our bottle return. So I hope you found this helpful, and I hope that you have a great week, and I hope you enjoy this next part. So I am at the Meijer in Traverse City today, and I'm just looking at all the foods that are labeled as health foods that may not necessarily be health foods. And really, the food industry has kind of duped all of us into thinking that because it says things on the label that it is healthy. And I just wanted to show you just a few examples. So first, let's start with, let's see here, all of these bars, right? Look familiar? All these different types of bars that people get that say that they're healthy. They're supposed to be like nutritious and help you with energy and that sort of thing. Let's look at this Quest bar for an example. So this is, it's s'mores. It's that's the flavor. And it says it has 21 grams of protein, 4 grams of net carbs, and 1 gram of sugar. Sounds like maybe it'd be okay, but it looks like it has 7 sugar alcohols. So sugar alcohols is just another way of saying sugar. And if you look in all of the ingredients, I don't know if you can read this, but all kinds of stuff that is hard to pronounce. There's soluble corn fiber, there's cocoa something, so not the greatest choice. And then there is some things that, like these pure protein bars, they can be okay. This one has 200 calories, and it's this one here, the pure protein, and it has a total of 2 sugars, including 1 sugar added, 8 sugar alcohols, but it has 20 grams of protein. Not so bad, I guess. Again, a lot of things that it has protein blend, protein isolate, hydrolyzed whey protein isolate, a lot of things that are just basically hyper processed. And the thing about eating healthy is it's really hard because we want to have sweets. And so and you can see this whole aisle, everything is labeled as like cookies and cookie flavor and caramel flavor, and here's more s'mores and birthday cake, and on and on and on. Yeah, it just goes on and on and on. And it's all to let us have a treat. But honestly, the best thing to do is just eat whole foods. So I'm going to take you over to the veggie and fruit aisle, and let's look at some things that might be helpful to incorporate into your diet to help with these cravings. So I've moved over to the refrigerator aisle, and I'm looking at these perfect bars. They sound like they should be perfect, right? They have the name Perfect Bar. This one is a dark chocolate chip peanut butter. Sounds really yummy. But let's see what's in it. Yeah, it's gluten-free. It's non-GMO. It's supposed to be organic. It's supposed to have 20 superfoods. It says enjoy 1 week on the go. And it has 15 grams of protein. Sounds really good. But then when we look at it, has a total of 18 sugars, and dietary fiber is only 4. It has 330 calories. So, it looks like.
30 calories too.
Yeah.
Oh,
that one's 130. So it just depends. Maybe the bar is smaller. But yeah, so it sounds like it should be a good bar. Hey, it's gluten-free. It's organic. but that's a lot of sugar to have, and really you're trying to balance your carbs and your proteins. Really try to avoid all of the sugar. The sugar is really what causes your insulin to spike and then causes you to store all the extra energy as fat. So it's more than you can possibly consume in one sitting, that you shouldn't need all that extra sugar, because a lot of times people have that and then, I'll have a piece of fruit with it, and that's just, again, more sugar. So just trying to give you a few tips. The other thing I wanted to show you too is just like milk. So for instance, people think that milk is a health food. So we're gonna look at this, Country Dairy. This one is 1% milk, low fat, and it has 12 sugars, and serving size is a cup, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. Milk definitely is not a health food, and milk actually was, something that baby cows need, and they get it from their mom, and it gets a baby cow that usually when they're born, they weigh maybe close to 100 pounds. It gets them to bulk up to like 400 pounds in about a year. So if that's what you're looking for, then probably should drink some milk every day, right, Joe? So we're gonna stop here and probably go over to the veggie section. So one of the things I really like to have is nuts. It can definitely curb your crunch, wanting something crunchy, wanting something savory. Just be really careful, because like the other day, I was eating some nuts, and just my favorite nuts, and I was like, oh my gosh, they had sugar on them. So just be careful. Look at the ingredients. Some other things that are really nice to have, you can make your own potatoes and your fries, that sort of thing. Just be mindful of your serving size, right? And you always want to balance your proteins and carbs. So balancing your proteins and carbs, also having some oil with that too is super helpful. One of the things that I do a lot is I buy these salad kits. And if they have like good things in them, like nuts, seeds, maybe some dried fruit, and then I grab these for my lunch and just have some meat that I just cut up. Even tuna I'll throw in there. A lot of times if they have like the crouton things, I don't use those. So what we've actually been kind of going to is just buying just plain old coleslaw mix. It's basically the same thing, just a little bit cheaper because it doesn't come with the dressing and all that stuff. And a lot of times I'm using like oil and vinegar instead of the dressing that comes with it anyway. So yeah. Berries and bananas and all kinds of fruit is a great way to curb your sweet tooth. And the cherries are coming out, which is pretty exciting. I don't know if those are Michigan cherries yet. I doubt it. But yeah, you can, for convenience, you can get everything all cut up here, which is kind of nice, or just cut it up yourself. The other thing that's really handy is getting some hummus, and you can dip your veggies in it. They've got some veggie trays here. I just find if I have my veggies already and cut up at home, it's just easier for me to just grab and eat them. Meijer also has things that will make your prep for your meals even quicker. Lots of cut up veggies for like kebabs and that sort of thing. So there's all kinds of shortcuts with trying to plan and prep your meals. And it just takes a little bit of thinking ahead and being mindful. It's super important to just look at the labels. Even though the foods that say that they're healthy may not be very healthy. A lot of times they load them with sugar or salt to enhance the flavors and that sort of thing. And a lot of that stuff is just what we call frankenfood. It's literally created in a lab. It's not real food. So I just encourage you to just try some new recipes, try some new salsas, making homemade mango salsa or cherry salsa. Just experiment. And another great place that I love in Michigan is Festini's. They have all kinds of different flavors of olive oils and balsamic vinegars, and man, it can really spice up your kitchen. So hope you enjoyed this episode. Have a great day. So we just finished doing one of Joe's favorite activities, and that was returning bottles.
Don't ever get any more cans. We're getting a kegerator.
So yeah, we had to go to the bottle return, and I don't know how many we had not returned bottles in I don't know how long. It had been a long
Since we've
time.
been dating.
Yeah, so 3 years, almost 4 years now. So yeah, so here we are. Rusty's in the car. He's been in the air-conditioned car the whole time. Yeah, so happy shopping, everyone. Hope you're having a great day.